Elevate your coffee routine with Strong Coffee Company's Black, Instant Blend, and Lattes. Both feature organic coffee, protein, MCTs, and adaptogens for sustained energy and mental clarity. You can use our discount, DANDZ, and you can use that code at strongcoffeecompany.com.
It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? Well, you know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast, or drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ, and you could be next. Part 2 of our interview with former PR director for the New York Jets and current president of DCT Media, David Tratner, starts right now. If you missed part 1, you know what to do. Check out this week's episode of The Fade Route with D and Z. We're here with president of DCT Media, David Tratner, and the Knicks. Let's talk about New York sports. Let's tie it all back into a pretty bow. We are a New York sports show, and the New York Knicks came back to beat the Cavs in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals on Tuesday. Last week, you asked the question, will the Knicks end the New York sports drought, in your Stack article? Current Knicks run seems to have awakened something in New York that hasn't been felt in years. If this Knicks team actually wins a championship, where would that rank emotionally for you compared to the 86 Mets, the 94 Rangers? Like, where would that stack up? And would it feel like redemption for the whole cursed fan era that you described?
Well, it's funny. You started to do a list, but you actually named the whole list of championships in my lifetime. The 86 Mets and the 94 Rangers. That's all I got. So where it will rank, it'll rank in the top 3 for sure, because that's all I got. It's amazing to me in a city like New York, where we have 9 teams. No one's won in 13 years. I mean, again, I'm not discounting the Liberty. So, if you get angry texts, the Liberty won in 2024, but they were the first. They won for the first time in 30 years, right? For them, but it's been 13 years for any New York, New Jersey team to win since the Giants Super Bowl. The Knicks haven't won since 1973, right? The Rangers since '94. The Mets since '86, the Jets since 1969. I was 32 days old when the Jets won their Super Bowl, so I don't remember that one quite as well. So yeah, I think it'll energize the city. I mean, you're talking about you're more than halfway home already, right? And so I think as long as they play the way they played in Game 1, and they continue, the city's energized right now, right? And to maybe have an NBA Finals in New York City for the first time since 1999, if you're not counting the Nets in New Jersey in 2002 and 2003.
Yankees 2009?
Well, I'm talking the NBA Finals.
NBA.
I mean, yeah, we had a World Series here. Was it last year or 2 years ago the Yankees won the World Series? Yeah, last year, 2 years ago. So, yeah. But to have an NBA Finals here, would be crazy to get the city going. It used to be somewhat commonplace for that to happen, but right now it's been such a desert. So I think, for me, it would be amazing to watch the Knicks win a title. I think for the city, it would be amazing to have a Canyon of Heroes parade, since they haven't had one. They had the Liberty in '24, but before that, you go back to the Giants.
And I want to 21 had one, but that's MLS team. The NYCFC had it in 2021 but MLS doesn't really hit the way it does the rest of the major sports.
Did they have a Canyon of Heroes parade?
They did.
Okay.
I was there.
Okay. All right. Called out. I had that in my story. It was in my story. I think it was in my story.
I'm curious, Dave, though, if you could have the Knicks win this year, win the championship.
Yeah.
But that would mean that you would never see the Rangers and you would never see the Mets or never see the Jets win another title. Would you go for that? Would you make that
I'm
trade?
Making that deal. No.
But the Knicks could win again. No,
I'm not making that deal. No. No. I want to see the Jets win something, man. Come on. I mean, it's almost 60 years now. I mean, it's my whole life. Your whole life for sure, right? I mean, and we both worked there. I mean, that's a franchise, that's a fan base that is so passionate. And so loyal and keeps showing up. I don't know why, game after game, year after year. They deserve to get on the right track. And who knows if if this is the right track now, I mean, the draft was good. The offense looks like they might have something there, but can Geno be 2024 Geno and not 2025 Geno? Who knows? We'll see. It's another one of those ifs, ands, and buts, right? But
I mean, before you said Geno, I wasn't sure if you were talking about the Mets or the Jets, to be perfectly honest with you. There's so many parallels.
Well, that's the thing, and those are my teams: the Mets, Jets, Rangers, and Knicks. It's crazy. 32 years. 32 years. So, yes, I would love the Knicks to win, but I'm not making a deal with the devil. Not that one, Damian. Not happening.
All right.
So after spending years inside an NFL organization, what was the biggest adjustment personally when you launched DCT Media and suddenly had to build your own brand instead of representing a brand that was already established?
It's funny. I'll answer that question this way. When you work for an NFL team, and Damian can co-sign this, people return your calls all the time. Mm-hmm. This is David Tratner from the New York Jets. They're returning my call. Right, and I'm sure Damian experienced the same thing. When you're calling from an NFL franchise, they call you back. It's not the same way when you're calling from DCT Media. It doesn't matter how charming you are, how good looking you are. It's not the same thing. So it's harder. It's definitely harder to establish your brand. It's good to have on your resume, but it's not the same thing. So you really have to go. You have to really hustle. You have to hustle. You have to really and as things evolve on social media, understanding how the algorithms work. You guys are sure are dealing with that with your podcast. How to get it out there, how to get through the noise. Whether it's on social media or whether it's on whatever platforms you're on your podcast, and trying to figure out how to get out there and how to get people to notice, and playing with the SEO and the keywords and all the things that come with marketing. It's very difficult. But the idea is to try to find your lane. And you guys have found your lane with this. And, we talked about before we turned on the mics about, I might be trying to find my lane soon and doing something like this, but again, it's hard because I think the cliche, everybody has a podcast, is actually true. So there's a lot of competition, even the people who are in competition are competition, because, you never know what gets into somebody's algorithm and what gets into their feed. And that's the fight you're fighting. And again, when you're in the NFL, you don't fight that fight. You're fighting them off in the NFL. Right. So that's the difference.
100%. And when you have guys like New Heights with the Kelsey brothers, they have that established cachet. When you have Logan Paul, for example, you're coming in with an established brand, and that definitely makes Pat McAfee. Just look at what Pat McAfee has done. Having that name recognition, having that cachet, definitely carries you some of the way. And having to come back from having to start from zero, it's daunting. It's absolutely daunting.
When it comes to podcasts, though, I think it's a very personal decision for each person, right? I mean, you guys are in somebody's ears, whether they're exercising or they're going to work or they're in a commute, and it's got to be something that they want to listen to, right? And it's going to help them pass the time, or it's going to help them relax, or whatever it is that they want to get out of your podcast. And so just because you have a big name isn't enough. The content's got to be compelling. We've got to want to hang out with, if I'm listening to your podcast, I don't want to hang out with D and Z, right? Because if I don't want to hang out with D and Z, I don't want them in my ears. So that's the thing, is that's part of it. So, when you listen to like Kylie Kelsey, that podcast, I mean, she's just, it's just fun to, every time I see a clip, it's like, oh, that's interesting, right? I don't know if I want to listen to an hour of it, but the 2 or 3 minutes is great, right? New Heights is good because you never know what Travis is going to say, right?
Busting with the Boys is pretty good.
And Jason, I mean, the two of them are just, like zany, right? And that's the thing. And in fact, there's that Taylor Swift factor that kind of adds into that as well, right? So, there's that combination of, yes, the name recognition, but also it's got to be somebody you want to hang out with.
100%. And, charisma and personality definitely carries you a long way. And we'll get you out here on this one here, Dave. A lot of experienced media professionals are moving towards platforms like Substack because they want direct communication with their audience. So what attracted you to writing there, and how different is that compared to working within traditional sports media structures?
Well, that's the thing, is that I've always wanted to write. And I wrote a little bit at the beginning of my career, and I got into PR and did a lot of writing there. And then as I kind of went through this stage of looking for what is my next opportunity. Is it going to be writing? Is it going to be full-time role? I looked at Substack and said, okay, there's really the barriers to entry isn't there, right? You can just go on and start a Substack, and so that excuse is out the window, right? I don't have to pay $20 a month to do it. I can do it. So then it comes down to just starting to write, right? And the hardest thing about writing is sitting down in front of a blank page and start typing. And that, there's nothing harder than that when it comes to writing. I think that one of the old sports writers, Jim Murray, said, yeah, writing's easy. Just sit down at your typewriter, open up a vein, and bleed. That's what he compared writing to. So, but yeah, so I just decided that, hey, I wanted to write, Substack was good because, again, you compare Substack to Beehive, I think is the other big one. Beehive, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. I'm not seeing any recognition, but it's another platform, but it's really more for established platform. You have to pay, and you get some built-in marketing to it, but it's really for people once they have like 500 or 1,000 followers can do something on Beehive. But so Substack is free. It's for the beginner trying to build a brand. And so I saw that as something that I wanted to do. I felt like I had something to say. I know I could write a little bit. Hopefully you guys have found the stuff interesting that I've written. And trying to build an audience. I'm trying to get the word out and kind of slowly but surely doing that. I just found it something that I wanted to do. That's that. And why I chose Substack, because I think it was the perfect platform to be able to just kind of experiment. So I wrote about 10 to 12 pieces, and I came up with this name, The Through Line, right? Because, I figured I was writing about sports and I was writing about media, and I was kind of tying in pop culture to it. I'm a big fan of The West Wing. I don't know if either of you guys are or know the show, but references in there, and try to make it something that people want to come back to, that when they see it in their email, they don't ignore it. They click on it, and maybe they will learn something from it. And so I just thought there was a lane there, and so here I am.
Yeah, I like your stuff because it's conversational. I enjoy it because of that. It doesn't take much to think about, and it's like, oh yeah, it's something I want to talk about with my coworkers, or it's something that I want to talk about or think about on the train. Especially when you were talking on the latest article about the 3-channel universe, and I was like, man, I don't know how much longer I'll be able to take advantage of that, because it was wonderful. I mean, I was bouncing around too, and it was so great. I mean, it took some time, through my streaming, but I was like, man, I hope this doesn't go away, or hope it's, I don't know how much more time I have with this, it made me really think about it. And then as far as like the New York sports things was concerned, you talking about like, hopefully the Jets can get their stuff together, but really the Knicks have a real opportunity here. And we talked about it last week, is like, it can't be this thing of, at least we made it to the finals. At least we made it to conference finals. No. This is it.
That's over.
This is it. You had a down year from the Sixers. There was no Miami Heat. There was no Boston Celtics. This is it. And that's the mentality that they have to have. That's the mentality the fans have to have, is that this is it. This is our chance. We got to go in there and we got to take it. Laser focus.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. I think the window is now. And you got to take advantage of it when the things break right for you. You got to jump on it. And I mean, looking at what we've seen so far from them, they went down 2-1 to the Hawks, and I don't think they've looked back. So, and I'll tell you something. Mike Brown is a pretty good coach, right? He seems to be able to. He seems to be able to make the adjustments, right?
I think in basketball, coaches coach and players play. I think he's working with a team that's been together for some time now. He's presented probably some things that he's learned in coaching the Lakers and coaching the Kings and coaching the Golden State Warriors. But I think they're on a heater right now. They're hot. They're red hot, especially after last night. 44-11 and 22-1 run in 7 minutes, which is nuts. So, I mean, I think he's just got to keep riding that wave. But, he's no slouch. But, I think Billy Donovan could do just as good a job.
But you also have to take into account that he's replacing Tibbs, right? Tibbs was all defense. All defense. Any spark of offensive creativity and any spark of offense you could provide, Like, you're unleashing guys like Cat, and you're unleashing guys like Jalen Brunson, because you're actually letting them play a little bit. So it's a better fit in that regard. But sometimes they miss having a guy like Tibbs, like for the defensive purposes.
The adjustments he made in game one, right? Realizing that, okay, whatever they were doing with the offense was working, but they also saw the weakness in Cleveland and said, okay, Jalen, take over like you used to. Go ahead and do it, right? And then they also saw that Josh Hart was not, for whatever reason, wasn't fitting in that night, right? And so they went to Shamet. And Shamet shut down Mitchell for a good portion of the fourth quarter and overtime because Mitchell disappeared. I don't know if you noticed that, but he basically he didn't bring the ball down. They left Harden in the game to bring the ball down and to get toasted by Brunson. And Shamet hit a couple of threes, including that big three that went up and down and around and in late in regulation. So that's coaching, right? I mean, I understand the coach players play, but Kenny Atkinson didn't call a timeout when they were up 20. From going up 22 to going down. And he also didn't adjust, and he kept James Harden, in the game on defense where he was ending up on Brunson
exposed.
He didn't adjust. He didn't change. He didn't change. He finally brought in. He finally did some change to his defensive rotation, but it wasn't enough.
He brought in Max. He brought in. He brought in Max.
Struss, yeah.
Max Strus, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough, right? And by then, and Harden couldn't hit anything because it's the playoffs and this is playoff James, and what are you gonna do? And here they were, winning that game on Tuesday night.
No, it just goes to show you the momentum is a very real thing in sports. And speaking of momentum, former president of PR former PR director, I should say, of the New York Jets and president of DCT Media, David Tratner, thank you for coming on, building momentum for your own Substack, building momentum for the new company. And if you want to be the next member of the in crowd, hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, slide in our DMs on IG at Fade Route Podcast, drop us a line on X at Fade Route DNZ, and you couldn't be next. David Tratner, thank you for coming on, and plug away. Do you have anything coming up? Any articles on the sub ready to go, or just plug on away?
Yeah, actually, so dctsports.substack.com. I'm starting a new feature that I started last week about your sports TV weekend. Coming up this weekend with the French Open. You've got a driver, the first female driver trying to do the double to drive the Indianapolis 500 and then in Indy, and then go to Charlotte that night and drive the Coca-Cola 600.
Oh wow!
So that's
cool.
Been tried five different times. So she's gonna be the first woman to try it, and also the oldest driver to try it at 45 years old. And then you have the NHL and NBA playoffs, both conference finals going on. So I'm going to help you navigate that. So that article will be posted Friday morning. So Damien, you won't be confused. You'll just follow my stuff, and you'll be able to find everything this weekend.
Exactly what I need. Perfect.
So go to his Substack every Friday, get what you need to get, and make sure you're tuned in.
That's it. That's the plan anyway. Let's see. I hope it works. That's the plan.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review, rate us 5 stars, turn on subscription notifications, and share on social media. Tell your friends and spread the word.